San Francisco in your mind. And I think that that's an important thing. We physically went there, we digested it, and I would say that's a really good thing. We work with a lot of companies and partners up there, and there's absolutely an energy that is palpable and can have great influence on the company. There's also a lot of overhead costs being there. There was a time where a lot of the employees of the company, almost all the money they made went to paying overpriced rent. So I sort of joke that it was kind of like we're paying for the Ferrari in San Francisco, sold it, moved to Santa Barbara, and it's like, it's like downgrading to a Porsche, and we're just like, wow, it's so much cheaper here.
I've never known anybody say Santa Barbara was affordable. But are we the new little Silicon Valley here? Because we have so many tech people on the show that are making a lot of money in Santa Barbara.
I'm absolutely a proponent of the phrase Silicon Beach for
I like it.
Santa Barbara. There's a lot of great little upstarts, and I think there's a budding community. It's exciting to be here, talking on this show and outreaching and networking. There's some really neat companies I've heard about, and it's absolutely, we're close enough to LA to get some of their influences on media and marketing and those sorts of things that are really important, but also close enough to San Francisco and just a quick flight away, or soon enough a driverless car ride, which would be quite nice. And so Santa Barbara is an amazing little outpost, and it's no surprise that some companies that have become quite large have grown up right here.
It's a lifestyle, I think. The company is Nomad, and we
Nomad.
are talking with Noah Denzel. And Noah, thank you so much. We could talk to you for so much longer, but if people want information on your product, the website is?
HelloNomad.com.
HelloNomad.com. You got to promise to come back, because I'm sure you've got something else up your sleeve coming up here in just a little bit, probably, yeah?
We've always got an ace in the hole.
Thank you so much for being here. You are listening to Cowork Radio. You can check us out at coworkradio.com. You can also listen on iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, and we'll be right back with Mitchell Kriegman.
The signature of the incredible jewelry selection at Bryant & Sons is a blend of ideal materials, conceived to the perfect shape, and then precisely finished. And throughout this process, the highest possible quality must be ensured, so that in the end, a work of art is created that stands for unmatched elegance. At Bryant & Sons, all our jewelry must meet these standards. We source the finest designs from around the world and create our own as well, so that you will have an unparalleled selection of art created from platinum, gold, and precious gemstones. When you choose jewelry that is not only worn with pleasure, but also admired for its exceptional qualities, it's from Bryant & Sons. If you're considering acquiring a distinguished piece of jewelry as a gift or for yourself, visit us at Bryant & Sons and let us show you how remarkable materials and exquisite design combine to create a timeless keepsake. Bryant & Sons, California's premier jeweler, 812 State Street in downtown Santa Barbara and the Upper Village in Montecito.
Hi, it's Catherine Raymock. Are you buying or selling a home? See Compass Realtor Terry Ryken. I went to Terry because of his reputation and experience, but was quickly taken by his genuine enthusiasm. It's that combination that truly sets him apart. Terry specializes in properties in Montecito, Hope Ranch, Santa Barbara, and Santa Ynez Valley, and has 39 years of experience as an agent and broker. There are so many realtors to choose from, but only one Terry Ryken. Find out for yourself. Google search Terry Ryken. Do you have a special event coming up? Go to Zotos for all your party needs. At Zotos, they offer packages for birthday parties, corporate and team building events, accompanied, of course, with a light show, DJ, delicious food, bowling, and full bar. Call 967-0128, where the staff will help you plan and execute an exciting event, all within your budget. Go to Zotos.com to book your party now, because when you're having an event, it's got to be Zotos.
Welcome back to Cowork Radio here on KZSB 1290 AM. I'm Catherine Raymock.
And I'm Jane Walker-Wood.
And we're a show all about the modern entrepreneur. Each week we interview two company founders, creative people, creative souls. And boy, we've got somebody in today you're going to love, Mitchell Kriegman, 4-time Emmy winner. He's an author, TV producer, and now creator of Puppet Palooza, something that he's going to tell us all about that is new here. If you've got kids or you've been watching Nickelodeon over the years, I'm sure you know many of the works, The Big Blue House, PBS, and also Clarissa Explains It All. Mitchell is amazing. We've chatted with him before, and he's also, we have to say, a friend of both of ours.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad that we're on those terms.
Yeah, thank you for being here. I had this Jane wrote the bio, and I could go on and on, but it would take your whole interview time. You first got involved in writing creatively when, and what was your big break?
Being born, being insecure, growing up, making lists. But I guess in TV it was SNL. I worked at SNL.
Yeah, and you were there for how long?
Well, I was there at the end of the good old days and the beginning of the bad old days.
Yeah. And I think I remember, did you find out you weren't coming back at the end of what you were in?
During Weekend Update. That was my update. My update is you're fired. And I have to say, I was really thrilled.
Did Alec Baldwin deliver the line?
No, unfortunately, he didn't. That would have been more glorious.
That was a long time ago. Then you got into writing and producing for children's television.
Yeah, I always did. Well, New York, when I was there, it was always kids and comedy were the two things. It was Sesame Street and Saturday Night Live. You know what I mean? And a lot of writers went back and forth between both, especially if they got fired. And
Really?
And so you sort of specialize in both. And then what happens is that my adult stuff is very kid-like, and my kid stuff is very adult-like. And it was just a matter of what sticks.
I think that's the key because having, now my son is grown and your kids are too, but there's something when you have to watch kids' television, if there's an underlying sub kind of plot that the parents understand,
of course.
It's wonderful.
Going
right?
all the way back to Grimm's fairy tales.
Right,
when
totally.
you think about it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, they have a term for that. It's called dual premise writing.
Oh, I did not know that.
There you go. And
Now-
on Sesame, go right ahead.
No, you go right ahead. You're the guest.
Be my guest. The dual premise writing, the classic example of this at Sesame Street is when you have Cookie Monster doing Monsterpiece Theater, and he's goofy and he's in the chair, and he actually had a pipe, I think. I'm pretty sure. But anyway, no kid knows what Masterpiece Theater is.
Right?
But he's funny. And
Yeah.
then Grover's doing 39 steps, counting to 39. And so you've got a premise that works for kids and a premise that works for adults.
Did you have formal training as a writer?
I had completely disastrous training as a writer.
I know you had some interesting childhood experiences, but I'm probably not allowed to tell
us
those on air.
Well, I
Catherine
mainly
and I
was
already
told that
know.
I'd never be a writer at every point in my career, including by some esteemed American novelist. Bernard Malamud told me I wrote worse than his nursery school niece or something like that.
But isn't that get you going though? Doesn't that? It's
Some
like
people.
Yeah.
Why did it get you going? Because other people would be very defeatist. They'd go home and have a cigarette and a beer.
Well, I didn't have the cigarette, but I definitely had a couple of beers. No, when my story got published in the New Yorker, I had a story in the New Yorker, which was glorious, and I have to say a lot of my peers in college did not have a story published in New Yorker, who they said were geniuses. They asked me, who do you have to credit? And I said, I don't have anyone to thank and credit, but I have a lot of people to blame. And that's what I've always thought.
And so when you won your Emmys, you didn't just send a little note to these people that were okay, that's good. I'm
No,
glad.
I shook my head no.
Bear in the Big Blue House, loved that, and was on for numerous years.
Oh, yeah.
Was that
It's still on around the
Was
world.
your sole creation?
I
or
created
was
that,
it-
yeah. I created Bear.
And Clarissa Tells All.
Explains
There's a
it
lot
all.
of female characers because you're a big burly guy. How did that happen?
I'm a big burly guy.
With a beard.
Note to audience, not true.
Check out his photo on our
Not
website.
even close,
Big burly guy.
all right? Nothing burly about me.
You have such an interesting career, and but you have decided you brought your family here to Santa Barbara some time ago. This is your town, and now you're doing something here in Santa Barbara that we've never seen before, and it's called Puppet Palooza. There was just a kickoff over this last weekend that I saw was very well attended. But for those folks that don't know, this is celebrating the art of puppetry, and not what you think, not the little sock
Exactly,
puppet, right?
exactly.
Yeah. So what's the concept? How'd you get involved? The city come to you? And
No. I moved here with my 3 kids, single burly dad, and we moved here on Fiesta. It was the middle of Fiesta, and where we had come from, no one was allowed to have a good time in the streets or in the parks or anywhere. And so we were like, wow, this is super cool. So the fiestas and the festivals are really like an amazing way of coping in this town that I think are fantastic. And so I knew there was, from being around that there were, and writing for The Independent, that there was sort of this nascent puppetry fabrication thing going on here, but they weren't real puppets. And I have a giant dancing sloth, as you know.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
So I had to get
Of course you do.
Of course.
I had to get my
we all have
giant
one, yeah.
dancing sloth,
It was
dancing.
like a large, for people who don't know, it's like a large puppet.
Well,
It's
he
more
would
like
be
a
insulted
Sesame.
by that. He
It's
would
like
be
a
insulted by
Sesame
that.
Street type
He would
character.
probably say that he's like Bear. Let's put it that way. He's like Bear. He's a walkabout, as they say.
And he's become an integral part of Earth Day.
He's a part of Earth Day.
yeah.
And he's on YouTube, and he's been on PBS and
Who
Netflix
talks
and everything.
for him? Because I've actually never met the sloth.
He talks for himself, the
Yeah,
sloth.
Jane.
I have to
sloth.
insist. Otherwise, the sloth will pay me back
isn't
later.
he as big as you are?
He's bigger than
He's
I am.
bigger.
And he's, very attractive, I might add. He might be burly. I would say he's burly.
What's his name again? I forgot.
Snook, the echo sloth.
Snook the Echo Sloth. And he goes to various schools and he
Yeah.
teaches
So
kids.
you went from sloths to puppets. I don't exactly know how the correlation happened, but how many puppets and puppeteers are coming to town?
Oh, there's like 33 performances, 20 performers. The Muppets will be here. And
real Muppets?
The real Muppets. Okay. And it's the whole new group of Muppeteers, actually, that perform them are going to be on stage, and you'll be able to hear the inside story of the Muppets.
How
with
did
them.
you even get in contact with them? Through, I guess, your agent or manager?
Well, besides the regular seances that I do,
Which Muppet did you call first?
No, actually, Bear in the Big Blue House is owned by the Muppet Holding Company
Okay.
at Disney. And the woman that runs it is a very close friend. And the 5 new Muppet performers, because the old ones, most of them, with the exception of Dave Goltz, have moved on, so to speak. And those new performers have worked on all my shows. Some of them I've given early breaks to and stuff like that. So I know, having done Bear and Elmo and Grouchland I did, and Book of Pooh and the stuff on PBS, I've kind of been involved with all these people before. In one way or
Now,
another.
the style of puppets that the Muppets are, that's not marionettes.
No,
but
that's
that is another style.
hand and rod, they call it.
Oh,
Hand and
okay.
rod puppetry.
So it is sort of like a...
No, they have 2 rods and they have their hand
Okay.
up the puppet, if I'm allowed to say that. And only in the most healthy, affectionate way. And
So are there different kinds of puppets in
Well,
this
then there's
event?
marionettes.
yeah, no,
Are there
well,
some
that's what-
marionette puppets?
yeah, there's a
Some-
marionettist, the guy, if you remember the movie Being John Malkovich.
Yeah,
and this is
of
something
course.
that everybody in your audience should go to, because it's totally more than the Muppets, more than all these other things, is this guy, Philip Huber, who was in Being John Malkovich, and he did the marionettes.
And
the
he's
foremost.
coming.
He's the
He's
foremost
coming.
marionette in the country.
Yeah.
Then there's this very cool guy, Tarish Pipkins, who's in the Missy Elliott Pharrell video, WTF, which doesn't mean
Right.
that. It means something else. And he's coming. And so
Wait,
the foremost
are there
Latino.
other puppet festivals in the U.S.?
There are a few. There's a Chicago one, which is only really the art puppetry, which is very, more performance art kind of thing. And then there's the Nashville Puppet Festival, which we actually were lucky enough to have Brian Hull, who stages that, to work with us on this. And they have a very successful every 3-year puppet festival. But there aren't any on the West Coast, and there haven't been any on the West Coast for as far as I can tell.
You said
That's
that the
fascinating.
foremost Latino puppeteer also
Yeah,
is coming.
Manuel Moran.
Oh, and I'd actually have heard of him before. So this
Yeah.
is going on over the course of how many days, when, and at what venues?
Well, the way it works is the actual festival is the 1st to the 4th of March. And it starts with a block party. There's a lot of crazy free stuff, okay? Just to be super clear, it's almost like a free festival with a few ticketed things. There's a block party that downtown Santa Barbara is throwing for us that's going to have all sorts of crazy puppets in that one, including Snook and stilt walking puppets and stuff. And then there's the Muppets Friday night. And then Saturday... Oh, and also Friday night is a Casa de la Guerra kind of bilingual Latino puppet fest in Casa de la Guerra, and celebration of families. And then Saturday is most of the shows, which are at Marjorie Luke, Caw, and SB Cast.
And again, it is Puppet Palooza. It's called the 1st through the 4th of March. We'd be remiss if we didn't mention everything that's going on in this community
Right.
now. And I know that for a lot of people, you included, you had a look at this event.
Sure.
Am I going to move forward? And you made that conscious decision thinking what?
Well, first of all, when I started thinking about festivals like the Fiesta when I moved here, is that a lot of festivals Fiestivals. That's a new word. I get credit for that word in Urban Dictionary now. Fiestivals. A lot of fiestivals in Santa Barbara are kind of coping events. They
Sure. The film
after the
festival
earthquake.
starts tonight. They wouldn't have considered not doing it.
Right.
It's a huge part of our economy, and
Yeah,
I think we're
definitely.
people that we try to laugh sometimes to get through things. That makes
Definitely.
you feel better.
That's what when we looked at it, we realized, okay, you need to have something to look forward to.